I was pregnant with Sarah when I first prayed that she'd take away my pain. I was sick of all the beatings, the cursing, the tormenting. My husband was not a nice man. Knowing that I'd soon be a mother was the wake-up call I needed. I left that night, packed my bags while he was out, bought a bus ticket, and disappeared. I prayed to God for Sarah, that she would take away my pain, that the beginning of her life would also mark a re-beginning of mine. What I didn't expect was for God to take my request quite so literally. It was only when she was just over a year old that I figured it out. Sarah was sitting in her high chair, watching Mommy cook. I was cutting up vegetables for our dinner when the knife slipped, slicing open the tip of my finger. I swore, rushing to grab a kitchen towel when suddenly the pain vanished. I stared at my finger as the wound sealed, leaving a perfect little white scar. Suddenly, Sarah screamed. I ran over to her and watched in horror as blood started to spill from a slice that slowly drew across her little finger. From that day onward, my safety was no longer my own, but Sarah's too. She took my pain, and we shared the same scars. One on the tip of our finger, one on our knee, one on the underside of our chin, and one on the side of our left foot. All my scars were now hers, except for one. I was called to her kindergarten almost a year ago. Sarah had injured herself on the playground and they'd taken her to the emergency room. I wasn't to worry, they told me. It was a simple gash, but it probably needed a few stitches. That scar was her favorite, in the shape of a little star on her forearm. It was the only scar we didn't share. Our lives weren't perfect, but we were happy. Until he tracked us down. I knew it was him from the way he knocked on our door. That pounding held a familiar anger. I pushed Sarah into her room, told her to lock her door. I ran for the kitchen and pulled a knife from the drawer just as he kicked down the door, shouting and raving. He leapt for me, put his hands around my throat. It wasn't just fear for my life that made me lash out with the knife. It was for Sarah. His choking hands would end not just my life, but hers too. I buried the knife up to the hilt in his chest. There was hardly any blood, and without a sound, he dropped to the floor. I knelt down, shakily, feeling for a pulse. There was none. It was then that I noticed a small scar on his forearm, a scar in the shape of a little star.